Martha's 52nd birthday gift wasn't champagne or flowers, just a tattered field notebook hurled by a crow onto her porch. Seattle drizzle blurred its pages, but that smudged Vox's swift migration log hit different. Vibes said move. Next morning, she lugged binoculars to Pike Place, where farmers market regulars whispered about rogue herons nesting in parking garages. By noon, she'd rallied 7 strangers with identical notebooks. Turns out eco-grief shrinks when you're counting beak marks on skyscrap. Martha's 52nd birthday gift wasn't champagne or flowers, just a battered field notebook from her late father, its pages yellowed with decades of bird sightings. For months, it sat untouched on her windowsill, a silent rebuke. Climate headlines buzzed like static in her skull. Each extinction report another pebble in her shoes, grinding her down until she moved through Seattle's drizzle like a ghost. Her deepest fear wasn't planet burning. It was being reduced to a bystander, hands fluttering uselessly as world unraveled like a dropped ball of yarn. Then came Flyer Farmers Market, urban birdwatching collective, no experience needed. Woman hesitated, gripping her tote of wilted kale. Joining meant admitting she cared enough to try. But next Saturday, she showed up, binoculars dangling like awkward jewelry. Group was a motley crew, retired teachers, baristas with sleeve tattoos, even a 9-year-old who could ID warblers by ear. They traded tips over steaming cups of chai, their laughter cutting through her fog. Slowly, notebook filled. Sparrows in parking lots, a peregrine falcon nesting on a skyscraper, shy heron that haunted canal. Each entry was a stitch pulling her back into fabric of life. She learned to spot hope in stubborn vibes of city birds adapting, surviving. One evening, watching a crow crack open a walnut on a power line, woman grinned. Maybe resilience wasn't about grand gestures, just showing up, pencil in hand, to bear witness. Her father's notebook, once a relic of loss, became a map forward. And when eco-grief crept in, Martha laced up her sneakers, slightly scuffed from a clumsy step off a curb, and went looking for feathers. Martha's 52nd birthday gift wasn't champagne or flowers, just a battered field notebook from her niece, its pages blank as her mood. Climate headlines had gnawed her for months, leaving her restless between grocery runs and laundry piles. But that little book nagged her. One drizzly Seattle morning, she stuffed it into her raincoat pocket and wandered toward a patch of scrubby parkland, determined to spot something alive and unbothered by doom scrolls. Her first entries were laughable. Gray bird, big, green bush pointy, but scribbling them eased a knot in her chest. Then came crows, a whole murder, strutting across soccer fields like they owned place. Martha started noting their routines. Raucous breakfast raids near dumpsters, afternoon gossip sessions atop streetlights. Turns out, crows remembered faces. One particularly bold bird began leaving bottle caps near her bench, trophies or bribes, she couldn't tell. Farmers market flyers led her to Urban Bird Collective, a motley crew of retirees, baristas, and one very intense middle schooler with binoculars bigger than her head. They met Saturdays under a tarp by kale vendor, swapping stories of sparrowhawk sightings and rogue parakeets. Martha's notebook became her anchor, pages filling with messy sketches and weather patterns. She learned to distinguish a Buick's wren's trill from a song sparrow's melody, though her attempts mimicking either sent local dogs into howling fits. Age hadn't made her patient, but tracking a stubborn heron for weeks did. She'd slip in mud, curse, then grin when bird finally struck a pose like some feathered diva. Slowly, her notes shifted from mere observations to tiny victories. Pigeon fledglings today, 3 wobbling on ledge. Traffic didn't faze them. Maybe we'll be okay. By summer, Martha was leading newbies to a hidden heron rookery, her notebook now a mosaic of coffee stains and pressed dandelions. Climate grief hadn't vanished, but it shared space with wonder. Some days, watching a chick learn to fly felt like only news that mattered. Martha's 52nd birthday gift wasn't champagne or flowers, just a battered field notebook from her niece, its pages blank as her mood. Climate headlines had left her numb, doom scrolling through wildfires and extinctions until her hands felt useless. But that little book demanded action. Next morning, Armed with binoculars and stubbornness, she marched to Kerry Park, determined to log one damn bird before self-pity swallowed her whole. 3 hours yielded only pigeons. She almost quit until a flash of emerald darted past. Anna's hummingbird, iridescent as spilled gasoline, hovered near her face as if sizing her up. Her pencil shook, sketching its cocked head. That tiny rebel became entry one, inked beside a coffee stain she'd later pretend was intentional. Word spread Ballard Farmers Market, where retirees clustered by honey stall swapping tips. Soon creator led ragtag beak freaks through parking lots, tallying sparrows nesting in fast food signs. Their urban birdwatching collective met Wednesdays, wielding thermoses like war paint. She laughed when a barista called them badass Audubon grannies, though none would admit to granny status. Doubts crept back when winter migrations thinned their lists. Creator faltered, wondering if tracking doomed species was just polishing brass on a sinking ship. Then a team member texted her a blurry shot. A barred owl, rare for Seattle, perched on a playground slide. Kids had protected it from off-leash dogs by forming a giggling human wall. Martha's notebook filled with their names under Owl Defense Squad. By spring, her pages were a chaotic testament. Smudged dates, rained-on sketches, a pressed dandelion from day she'd spotted eagles rebuilding a nest. Climate grief hadn't vanished, but now it shared space with wonder. Her kitchen table, Martha added a new column, Signs of Adaptation, and grinned as her pen hovered. Maybe resilience wasn't about fixing everything. Maybe it was this, showing up, stubborn as a weed in concrete, to witness what remains. Martha's 52nd birthday gift wasn't champagne or flowers, just a battered field notebook shoved under her door by a neighbor who'd noticed her staring two long sparrows. Inside, a scrawled note. Track something. Before dread tracks you. First, she scoffed. What good were scribbles against rising seas? But sleepless nights gnawed, so she grabbed binoculars, stomped to her fire escape, and glared crows like they owed her answers. Ink met paper. Day 1, 3 crows, 1 squirrel, 0 hope. Weeks passed. Her notes grew obsessive, migrations, odd behaviors, a bald eagle circling freeway. She lugged that notebook everywhere, its pages fat with pressed leaves and coffee stains. Farmer's Market. She eavesdropped on birders, then blurted, "Anyone else see warblers vanishing?" Silence, then nods. A collective exhale. Someone joked, "Guess we're a club now." Martha's gut said run. Her hands flipped notebook open instead. Meet here next week. Bring data. Turns out, grief shared is grief halved. Their ragtag group, retirees, baristas, a teen with blue hair, became Seattle's stealthiest eco-sleuths. They logged urban hawks, mapped squirrel highways, even caught a coyote on film napping in a Prius. Martha's notebook morphed into a manifesto, its margins crammed with sketches and fury-turned focus. Then came her gutsy move, a workshop community center. Bird watching for apocalypse, she'd scrawled on flyers, sly grin in place. That morning, knees knocking, she eyed crowd, 30 strangers, plus Gary from 3B, who'd once called her that bird lady, like it was an insult. She fumbled projector clicker. Tiny goof. Then boom, her slideshow flashed a viral-worthy shot. Their coyote, mid-yawn, paws draped over steering wheel like a commuter avoiding rush hour. Room erupted. Gary's scoff turned to a stunned, holy hell. Martha's pulse roared louder than applause. That notebook in her grip? No longer a shield. A megaphone. Later, scribbling fresh findings under a street lamp, it hit her. I found my voice in chaos. Not in shouting, but in counting. Not in despair, but in dandelions pushing through cracks. Seattle kept burning, freezing, flooding. But so did Martha, with purpose, one inked page at a time. Martha's 52nd birthday gift wasn't champagne or flowers, just a battered field notebook from her niece, its pages blank as her hope. Climate headlines had left her numb, but that little book? It demanded ink. So she grabbed binoculars, stomped past recycling bins, and scowled sparrows. Turns out, scowling's terrible for bird watching. By week 3, She'd named a pigeon Mayor McCheese for his French fry-stealing hustle. Laughter startled her. Hadn't heard that in months. Seattle's drizzle became her ally. Rain brought worms. Worms brought robins. Robins brought woman to her first farmer's market meetup with Urban Beak Collective. Skeptical first. Weren't birders all khaki vests and silence? She choked on kombucha when a 78-year-old in sequin Crocs whispered, "That Flicker's got divorced dad vibes." Suddenly, tracking wasn't just tally marks, it was gossip, therapy, rebellion. Her notebook bulged with sketches. Crows dunking bagels in puddles. A bald eagle photobombing a yoga selfie. By summer, she was guiding newbies, her once trembling hands steady as she pointed out osprey nests on skyscrapers. "See? Nature squatting in capitalism's backyard." She'd grin. Grief still lurked, but now it shared space with wonder. 53. Woman launched a grumpy birder hotline for overwhelmed beginners. No, Karen, seagulls aren't judging your life choices. Notebook spine cracked from use. Its margins crammed with phone numbers, pie recipes, and one urgent reminder. Buy more croissants for Grackle Mafia. Winter revealed her masterpiece. A laminated map of city birds pinned beside bus schedules, proving even rush hour could be safari. Strangers stopped to add sightings in Sharpie. Her niece visited, gasping rainbow of sticky notes. "Auntie, you built a Wikipedia for pigeons." Martha winked. "Nah, kid. We built a lifeline." CTA, crack a window. Your wild neighbors are waiting.